So this part is having a 17% weightage, cloud concepts, architecture, and design. So let's talk about, let's see, within this section, what all things are there. Okay. So by the end of this domain, you will be well versed with the various roles, characteristics, technologies related to cloud computing. Most of you are, you are well familiar with this. You will see concepts related to cloud computing, activities, capabilities, categories, models, and cross-cutting aspects. Identify, describe, and define the design principles necessary for secure cloud computing in different types of cloud categories. Identify national, international, and industry specific criteria for certifying cloud service providers. Identify criteria specific to the system and subsystem product certification. So let's take a look. So CI Triad, I believe most of you are familiar. I mean, this is nothing new. And this is the essence, this is the holy essence of or rather this is the the Bible of security. This triangle is the diagram of security. It represents security. Your data should be confidential. So confidentiality ensures that only the right set of people get access to data. Integrity is when your data, whether it's at rest, in motion, it should not be tampered, right? So if I'm working on the data set, and let's say if I send you an email, you should get the email. The email should arrive intact. It should not be, nobody should be able to tamper with that kind of data. And availability is obviously from a business perspective. There is no point of security if your data is not available or the application is not available when you actually need it, right? So availability is equally important, and your CIA, everything is aligned to your business objectives, because when you frame your information security policy, everything is aligned with the business objectives. So this model guides policies for information security within an organization. Information security protects valuable information from unauthorized access, modification, and distribution. Absolutely. Confidentiality principle asserts that only authorized parties can access information and functions. Example, military secrets. When we talk about confidentiality, classification, inventory classification, and asset classification is an important aspect, because if you're dealing with if you're dealing with the private sector and if you're dealing with military sector, they are two different things. Because in the military sector, you will have something, different levels of classification. So for instance, you could be, something could be classified as extremely sensitive, or there is a different classification level. Confidential remains also in you could also have this labeling in the private sector as well. However, military classification is slightly different. You could have something like, when you say secret is this keyword you will not find used in the private sector. In the private sector, you would perhaps you will find the word using confidential. Now secret, top secret, these are the classification categories that are used in defense establishment. Now for instance, let's say even the certain defense establishments also getting into the cloud. So for instance, your US Department of Defense already started moving to the cloud, but their nomenclature of data classification is completely different from what you would see for a healthcare provider. Completely different. So the confidentiality principle, as I said, states that only authorized parties can access information functions depending on the classification, data classification or asset classification. Something is getting classified as top secret, it should be only be available to the people authorized to access it. Then you have the integrity principle. This completely deals with making sure that the data is not tampered or modified in any way, right? So it asserts that information and functions can be added, altered, or removed only by authorized people and means. Incorrect data entered by user in a database can compromise your integrity, or for that matter, you are sending data to somebody over over a file, and let's say somebody performs a man-in-the-middle attack. They get access to the file, they tamper the file, they modify the contents and they'll send it. So there also there is a breach of data integrity. And the final one is availability. Availability principle asserts that systems, functions, and data must be available on demand according to the agreed upon parameters based on the levels of service. Now, for instance, you are trying to scale up, you are on the cloud, but you are not able to meet with the existing demand because your concurrency is increasing, number of users have increased, drastically. Let's say there is a critical, let's say it's a banking application and they have reached the end of the day or the end of the month service. They have a critical month end period, and there, they have spiked up, their access has spiked up. In that case, you will need to spin out more virtual machines serving the same kind of applications. You will also need to use a load balancer to make sure that the existing instances are well balanced. They're no particular instances overburdened, and you don't want a situation where one server is sitting idle and the other servers are overburdened. So you want to make sure that there is a good level of decorum of service maintained, and at the same time you meet your SLAs, the service level agreements. All of these things you should be able to meet your SLA, whether it's in terms of the application response time and all that stuff. Despite with the increasing concurrency, you should be able to meet your defined SLA. So that is what the availability principle talks about. Security concepts. Key security concepts are separation of duties, job rotations, mandatory vacations, dual control, split knowledge, principles of least privilege, need to know principle. Now, all of these things are important. Now, why these things are important? Because see, now on the right hand side, what you see is you're seeing humans, and here in the center you're seeing one person having the maximum access, or somebody who is having maximum influence. Now you don't want that kind of situation. Now if you are completely dependent upon one person, and let's say things go bad, or let's say this person becomes rogue, you will start having problems. Let's say this person has too much access than desired, other people are not aware about it. So you want to avoid a situation where there is complete dependence on one person. So you need to follow things like principle of least privilege, provide access as per the job role, separation of duties. One person, two persons, let's say, are entering, one job function is performed by two different people. So let's say there's a critical job function which requires, where one person can perform a thing, but if that particular person, starts behaving in a starts showing erratic behavior, then you can have problems. So you want to make sure that you are not completely dependent on one person. Job rotation also is important. For instance, if somebody is a DBA, right? Now, if that DBA has bad intentions, now he can easily log in into the backend database. Doesn't matter whether it's on cloud or whether it's on-prem, and he can destroy your data, or he can, leak your data somebody else. So a DBA will have too much control over the system. So you should make sure that any sensitive data, when you're dealing with influential positions, people who have an ability to tamper your data, or who have elevated privileges to access your data, you want to make sure that you perform your due diligence by catering to various security policies or various implementations. So you could follow the concept of principle of least privilege, need to know, provide access as per what should they know, implement views in databases. So for instance, if you have HR schema, the salary of all employees should not be accessible to the DBA. That should be accessible to anybody from the HR team itself. So you should have all those kind of policies in place to make sure that you're adequately able to deal with this kind of scenario. So all of these principles, they are dealing with the human element. Too much dependence on one particular person or a set of persons can cause problems if these people start showing erratic behavior. What you want to make sure is that you have a robust system, and you have multi sets of people available to multiple people with you know similar sets of similar skills available to compensate in case of unavailability of a person, or for any such thing. You should be able to deal with all those kind of things. Defense and depth. Now this is something, it's a practice. Basically it's a more like a acceptable nomenclature. It's a practice of having multiple overlapping methods for securing the environment. These defense in depth architecture is a blend of administrative controls, logical and technical controls, and physical controls. So it's a good blend of all of these things. Now you could have your applications you want to secure. You want to make sure that your physical environment where it is, that should be secured. Logical access controls should be in place. Technical controls should be in place. How the traffic has to flow from what should be allowed, what should not be allowed. Is there anything that you need to segregate? What should be your policies specifically for incoming traffic, your ingress and egress traffic, incoming traffic and outgoing traffic, how you deal with that kind of things. What are the allowed protocols, how you deal with various services, whether you really want to have public any services that are having public IP addresses, whether you want to avoid that kind of thing, because a public, if you're having a public, see the things like databases, and they are the ones that contain some sensitive information. So databases, it's a recommended approach to make sure that the databases don't have a public IP address. So either you should set up a private IP address for that, and you should use the backbone network, the Microsoft backbone network, by either using a VPN gateway or some of that mechanism to make sure that you are logging over the private channel instead of using the public URL. Or you could use in case you want to access, you could use an Azure Bastion host as well. Any of those, there are multiple ways to go about it. So that talks about defense in depth. How do you secure data? How do you secure your physical premises, the internal network, the host, the critical servers, the application, and so on. Due diligence is the act of investigating and understanding the risks a company faces. Example, software testing, vulnerability assessment, cloud vendor evaluation, and carefully scrutinizing the details of the contracts and service level agreements. Due care describes development and implementation of policies which ensures that minimum level of protection is in place to protect a company, its assets, and its people. Examples, physical security, taking regular backups, updating software patches, implementing network firewalls. Now the thing is that if you don't take regular backups, your applications could be a single point of, if unless and until you don't have a DR setup in place, you may be suffering from single point of failure. Your application can it can fail. Now a good way to test if which sites are up, or a good way to test that would be to go on something called as downdetector.com. Okay, now there is a global site for it also. So for instance, if I go here, I can talk about any company or anything. If I click on outage history, okay, now it tells me which company within which month, whose sites go down, how frequently they're going down. So let's say for the month of February, I can see that State Bank of India went down. So it was today morning, India time, 11:45, 11